As the cold and the snow roll in, and we're all swept up in the craze of the holidays, I find myself rounding out 2022 by thinking about how the year started. I had barely 100 subs. I was upgrading my coworker's Everest Max. I was still learning what exactly I liked in my keyboards. Now we're at over 600 subs. I've built, upgraded, or given away almost 20 keyboards. I'm more excited than ever to try out new switches, mounting styles, and mods. I'm just very grateful to all of you who've supported me in this channel this year. I thought, what better way to end 2022 than by building a board I bought at the end of 2021. What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm building a board that I bought back in November of 2021 in a group buy. The Ikki68 Aurora from Wuque Studios. Now I've had this board for several months, but I've been waiting on one more part before I built it. That part has been delayed 4 times though, and I just can't keep my hands off this thing any longer. Right out of the box, the Ikki68 comes dressed to impress in this very nice faux suede carrying case. Open that up and you'll find a decent braided and coiled USB cable, extra hot swap sockets, the badge, the bump ones, pour-on gaskets and silicone gaskets, case screws, plate standoffs, and a hex tool, the RGB chips, the magnetic plate for the badge, the plate, I thought I got FR4 but I guess we're using polycarbonate, the 1.2mm hot swap PCB with its flex cuts, and all of the layout options. No, seriously, this thing has options. The plate silicone pad, 3 silicone pads for the case, one big one that holds the place of a battery, and one that holds the place for a weight, the customizable gasket chips that you can add and remove to your liking, and finally the keyboard itself. I got the fog colorway, which is just frosted white polycarbonate. The top case does have threaded metal inserts, so no worries about multiple assemblies, which is good because you can tinker with this thing for days. What really makes this stand out from other 65% is the layout and the customizability. We'll get into the customizability, but the Ikki68 Aurora has a cluster of 4 nav keys at the top right, and the arrow keys are pushed out far enough that you can use a full-size right shift, but this PCB also offers the choice of a split right shift. As for me, I'm going with a pretty basic layout. Normal backspace because split backspace just kills me, stepped caps, but the split right shift. An extra function layer never hurt anyone, and also one less stab to tune. Speaking of stabs, I went ahead and ordered a set of Wuque 1.2mm stabs when I bought this. These are pretty unique stabs. On top of coming in either 1.6 or 1.2mm, they also have the wires clip in from the bottom, making it significantly more difficult for a wire to pop out during a build, and they come with Teflon strips pre-cut to size for the Holy mod. Since I bought these, Owl Labs has won my heart with the ease of use offered by the Owl stabs, so I haven't really had the need to Holy mod anything for a while, but these did make it a little bit easier if you would want to do that. The Teflon strips are very sticky. The first attempt or two was a little tedious, but once I got the hang of it, the rest were pretty easy to get done, and the Teflon doesn't feel as mushy as a normal Band-Aid. Aside from that, I did my normal process of 205G0 all around, except for going a little bit lighter on the wires to accommodate for the Holy mod. Slap these bad boys on the PCB and we're off to the fun part of the build. Normally I just skip plate standoffs, but with all these flex cuts and how flexy PC plates are, I played it safe and went through the incredible hassle of installing these tiny little buggers onto the plate and screwing it into the PCB plate silicone. And now the switches. I'm going back to the ever popular Gateron Oil Kings for this one. These are still a top tier switch for having an incredibly consistent factory lube application, while also sounding really good right out of the box. They are popular for a reason. And while they're not my favorite sounding switch of all time, I love them for saving me the soul crushing hours of work that is hand lubing switches. You know what doesn't take hours of soul crushing work though? Hitting that subscribe button. Only takes a second and it really helps out the channel. See? Done already. Thanks. Next up I just put on the gaskets. I'm going with pour-on. My experiences with silicone gaskets have not been my favorite, so given the option, I'll always go pour-on every time. With the switches installed, this is where you would put in one of those RGB chips. It goes under the plate, but you get the point. But I am actually not going to need it. I bought one last thing for this build. In this box is an aluminum top case, and to my surprise, no way! I did order an FR4 plate. I knew I wasn't that crazy yet, but now I guess you get sound tests of both. It's a win for all of us. Next is a packet as full of silicone as you want. I'm going to be trying out a few different amounts. Screw the badge mount onto the top case and then screw it all shut while being careful not to over tighten. I can tell you from experience that polycarbonate cracks very easily. And finally, it's keycap time. I picked up this set of Akko Psitticus and Cherry Profiles shortly after I ordered this board, and they've been patiently waiting in my closet for a year to finally be used. I didn't know at the time that these were Dolch clones, but it's far too late to send them back, and they've been discontinued at this point, so it just is what it is. They're definitely not the most egregious clones to ever be made. Side note, I always love Akko's keycap packaging. They make storage and organization of your keycaps so easy and convenient. I also wish they still made these Cherry Profile caps, especially since they've made efforts to stop producing clone sets. They're surprisingly good quality for how affordable they are. After assembly and testing the stabs, the Oil King was a little too loud on the spacebar for me, so I'm using a Lubed and Filmed Gateron Box Ink Black on the spacebar instead. The last thing to do is to pick my favorite amount of silicone to stuff in this thing before I swap plates. This is all of the silicone. Super muted and not much flex. If you like it clean and tight, this is for you. Let's take out the battery and weight placeholders next. I like this a lot more personally. All of the switches just have a lot more room to let their character come through, but what really surprised me was just how much more flex removing that little bit of silicone added. Woo! Like, that's crazy flexy, but pretty comfortable still when typing normally. Finally, how does it sound with no case dampening? I like the alphas more like this, but I really don't like how the modifiers sound. The biggest issue with this config for me is the flex though. Like, this is too much. Oh my god. That kind of flex was actively causing me to make mistakes while typing. All of this is, of course, subjective. You will like what you like, and that's the beauty of a board like this. You build it how you want to build it. Do be mindful of the USB port though. There is no daughter board, so all that extra flex will put stress on your USB connector. I think removing the battery and weight silicone placeholders and keeping the plate silicone and the big wedge is a sweet spot for me. Something else to note is that swapping over to the FR4 plate did, of course, reduce flex a bit since it's a more stiff material. But there's still enough to keep it a very comfortable typing experience. I'm not going to dive into all the ways you can configure the gasket chips because I'm not trying to make this an hour-long video, but needless to say, you can spend days and days trying out different configs of all the options for this board. There were still several different plate materials, pour-on dampening kits, different PCBs with different features, and just so many ways to really dial this board in to make it completely your own. I didn't even do any aftermarket mods to it today. And I haven't even mentioned the price yet. Everything that came in that carrying case was only 135 USD before shipping. Even with all my add-ons, my total was only a little over 200 before shipping. Wuque was really onto something with the Ikki68 Aurora, and even though they're cranking out bangers with Mellitrix and the Zoom line right now, I hope they revisit this one day and add some features the hobby has come up with since this went into group buy. Before I leave you here with too many sound tests, I just wanted to thank you all again for an amazing year. I'm going to do my best to make 2023 even better, and I have some really exciting builds lined up for the near future that I don't think you'll want to miss. If you're not already, hit that subscribe button so you get the new builds as soon as they come out. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video, and let me know which configuration is your favorite down in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching and for an amazing 2022. I'll see you next year.